Hey, what's going on, everybody? Dr. Sis here. So in today's public health briefing, I'm going to go over the top 5 ways to put on unwanted body fat really fast. And you may be wondering, why would I want to put on body fat really fast? Well, you wouldn't. But if you understand what puts it on, then we know what to avoid so we can A, not put it on, B, get rid of it, all right? But number one, the first thing you want to do, if you want to put on a whole bunch of fat really fast, the first thing you should do is eat from what I call the Devil's Triad, the Devil's Spear with its 3 little tips. And the tips of that spear are 3 things: refined grains, processed oils, and added sugars. When you eat those 3 things combined, I call it fat building steroids, right? So it's like, if you want to put on muscle really fast, what can a person do? Take steroids. What do steroids do? It alters your hormones and increases the hormones that produce a whole bunch of muscle quickly. What does eating the Devil's Triad do? It alters the hormones in your body so you store a whole bunch of fat really quickly, right? So it's refined grains, processed oils like canola oil and especially soybean oil, and then added sugars. And when you eat those in combination, there's so many foods that we eat, and worse, feed our kids on a regular basis that has these things: crackers, cookies, muffins, cereals, pizzas, bagels, so many chips, donuts, so many foods we give them. I mean, those little round Ritz crackers we give it all the time are from the Devil's Triad. Then you have that, and then the added sugars would be any sweetened drink, any soda, any juice, any Gatorades, anything that's just water plus added sugar is part of the triad. So when you're giving your kids or when you're eating from the triad plus washing it down with a sugary drink, I mean, that is a great way to put on unwanted body fat really fast. Now, if you combine that with not exercising and especially with not strength training. So here's the thing, muscles are like a furnace. Adding muscles is kind of like having a house in the wintertime. In the wintertime, that house needs more wood, more fuel, more energy to burn to stay warm. That's what muscles are. Muscles require, they burn more energy. So if you're lacking muscle and you're out of shape and you don't exercise, plus you consume from the triad and add sugar drinks to it, I mean, it's a great way to put on lots of body fat. Add to that some alcohol, right? Adding alcohol to this mix really accelerates the entire process, and a really good thing to do is minimize your alcohol consumption, right? So it's like, oh, I just had a bottle of wine, it's just wine, as if wine alcohol is somehow different than a 6-pack of Blatz alcohol, right? And with wine, you get a whole bunch of sweet, sugary liquid with alcohol in it, and then what do you have with your wine? Some processed foods, then you wake up feeling sluggish so you don't exercise. That together, it's a really good way to put on a whole bunch of unwanted body fat. Combine that with lack of sleep. One thing people are really good at is claiming to be so busy and taking pride in sleeping less. Like, oh, I can get by in 5 to 6 hours of sleep. When you're lacking in sleep, that is very stressful. And when you're stressed, one thing that happens is you constantly have more sugar in your bloodstream, which isn't good because that stimulates insulin, which stimulates fat storage. But also, what do you crave when you're stressed? More of these Devil's Triad foods, more sugars, you crave more alcohol, and you're less motivated to go and exercise. So when you do those 4 things together, it is amazing at putting on fat really, really fast. Now, possibly the most important thing with all this is to blame everything but yourself. Right? Blame the weather. It's too hot, too cold, too windy, not windy enough, too dry, too humid. Any excuse you can make not to go outside. Blame everyone around you. It's my spouse, it's my coworkers. Oh, but I have kids. Possibly the worst excuse ever. Oh, I put everyone else first, so that justifies me drinking a soda instead of water. The best thing you can do is to put on fat fast is to blame everyone else for these 4 choices you make on a consistent basis. All right, here's the truth, guys. There isn't a pill, a shake, a cleanse, a detox, a surgery, a medication, anything that anybody's selling you that is going to erase these choices. It just won't. It can't. It's impossible. There's nothing that can erase doing this. The only thing that works, and the thing that always works, is first, take responsibility for your choices and your actions. Unless someone is holding you down and stuffing booze and donuts and muffins and waffles in your mouth and tying your legs together so you can't go for a walk, it's your choice, right? We have to accept that we have control. We have the power to, instead of putting a donut, a bagel, a muffin, whatever in our mouths, we can eat an egg and a piece of fruit, and instead of grabbing a soda, we can have a glass of water. We can choose to exercise 3-4 times a week. That's all it takes, 3-4 times, 35 minutes a week. We can choose to cut out or at least limit the alcohol. I get it, man. Going out and having a few drinks with people, it's fun. It's a good time. There's social health, I can argue, is a benefit of that. But especially in Wisconsin, the amount we drink is disgusting. You know, when I talk to people like, well, I only had a 12-pack. It's like, only? I mean, come on, that's a problem. And then, of course, sleep. Sleep, you got to make it a priority. Like, turn off the phone, turn off the dumb box, turn off the stuff at night, get to bed early, get up earlier, your stress goes down, everything can benefit from getting a good night's sleep. And most importantly, it's on you, right? Take responsibility for your choices. You have control. Choose to make these choices, and it's the only way, it is the best way to not put on fat and or reduce the unwanted fat you have. And here's 2 questions I want you to ask before doing any program that promises to erase this. 1, does this make sense for my kids? All right, so would it make sense to lead by example and help your kids not eat processed foods? Would it make sense to lead by example and exercise and take pride and strength with your kids? Would it make sense to not get drunk and be hungover in front of your kids? Would it make sense to get to bed early and prioritize sleep with your kids? Would it make sense to teach your kids self-responsibility, right? Does that make more sense than counting calories, giving them, would you give a kid a detox drink? Would you make a kid count macros? Would you get a kid to count calories or points to try and lose weight? Of course not. Second question, would any of this make sense for a dog, right? A pet, an overweight animal. Would you give a pet or any overweight animal detoxes, cleanses, shakes, powders, potions, medications, anything like that to lose weight? Or would you get it to live the right lifestyle that it needs? So the purpose of this video is the only way and the best way and the way that always works is to focus on your choices, take responsibility, and take pride in living and leading a healthy lifestyle.